$55 million, and there's dollars as a penalty, and there's plus interest at 9%, and there's no victim. I mean, I'm sorry, her words fall on deaf ears to everybody. There's nothing she can say to justify this decision. And this has nothing to do with Trump. Nothing to do with Trump. Forget about Trump. This is not a Trump situation. This is a New York problem now. The whole world is looking at this saying, what are you doing to yourselves?
Hey folks, Chicago Ray checking in. Since I talked to you last time, a couple hours ago, I got back on the radio, been listening, been talking to a few guys. This is real, man. There's guys that ain't going. I talked to a guy, he denied a refrigerator load. Okay, which, refrigerators going to New York City, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good money. Okay, so, gotta give that guy his credit for that. This goes longer than a week, like they're saying, and New York City better start stocking up. And they better start stocking up now. Okay? I don't want to, like I said, I ain't wishing anybody anything. Okay, everybody's on their own with this. But what I'm hearing, these guys are serious. Okay? And this could take longer than a week. Alright? It ain't necessary. They quit fucking with Trump. Okay? Quit fucking with Trump. We're just against what's going on in this country. We got careers out here. We got livelihoods. We ain't trying to hurt nobody, but we're going to stand for something, man. We stand with Trump, man. What I'm hearing over here, this is on, man. This is on. All right, Chicago Ray, checking in.
Hey, this is to all you window-licking moron liberals. You don't know shit about the trucking industry. I'm an independent truck driver. There are 350,000 drivers like myself that if we don't want to go somewhere, we don't go there. We don't have any bosses, no unions. You can't fuck with our license like you guys keep saying you want to do. Nothing. It's not illegal to say, F you, eat it, you fucking idiots. We don't want to go to New York. We won't go to New York. Ask Colorado, you fucking morons. Colorado around and found out real fucking quick the truck drivers actually run this country. You.
If you remember yesterday, I was telling you about a guy refusing load refrigerated. Load going to New York City. Well, this broker just told me he got 30% more for that load. For that same load that driver refused yesterday, he got 30% more from the receiver to get that load over there. Refrigerated load. Okay? So, that means that driver probably another $400 in his pocket. Cost of fuel to get over there. That load was gone in 5 minutes. It went off the board 5 minutes after he put it on. So, here's the thing. All right, as I said, every driver's got to make their own choices. But it looks to be like as though loads going to East Coast, New York City, New York State, they're going to have to be paying more to get it there. But I wouldn't fault that driver for taking that 30% more. I ain't faulting him. All right? But if people in New York City got to pay 30% more for milk and eggs, that's going to hit. That's going to bite. This guy I deals with several companies, several big truck lines, and he got 30% more for that load. From now on, he's going to be going 30% more for any load going east.
Checkpoint 1, secured. Checkpoint 2, secured. Checkpoint 3. Checkpoint 3 secured. All hands secured. Opening bunker.
Hey everybody, welcome. I just wanted to jump on to have this conversation about these these truckers. So I got some stuff lined up for tomorrow on Trump, but for the regular Wednesday Night Live. But with respect to the truckers, like I'm curious to know what people's take is first of all, and I want to get into that. I want to know where you're watching from as well. I'm not sure if that ticker went off very well. There might have been some audio issues. I apologize if there were. I'm going to break that off and put it up as a separate post anyway. So there's that. But a couple of things that I wanted to break down before I get started. Number one, if you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, please jump over and do so. So I will, you know what, I can't leave it in the chat, but I'll try and go into your individual chats. It's at patriotthinktank.com. Patriot, the T that it ends with, and the T that think begins with are the same. But you will see the blue check mark, my grill, on the little icon, so it'll be obvious that it's me. But these truckers, right? So, a couple things. One, I first heard this over the weekend, and with these trucker situations, I never really know exactly what what we're dealing with, and I think right now we still don't fully know what we're dealing with. That gentleman there, the one who was first and third on the ticker. I don't know if you got to hear it or not, if there were audio issues, but um, with that guy, he was basically the first one to pop it out and say like this. And he didn't say, "Hey, we're calling a boycott," or anything. He just said, "This is what he's been hearing over the CB traffic as he's been driving." And so he said in his first video that I talked to about 10 different people, and they're all on the same, like, this seems like a thing. And that's why he made the video, because he was like, I think this is going to be a thing. And then suddenly it became he's the leader of the movement and all this. And he was clear that that's not the case. Fox News actually tried to put up a meme saying that he was recanting and taking it all back. And he was like, "Oh, hell no, I'm not taking anything back." And he actually left this tweet where he says the reason Fox News and Newsmax are posting articles stating that I'm backing down is because they asked me to come on and I declined. I never suggested anyone do anything. I'm posting what I'm hearing, and that's that. 'Cause I'm not waiting, so I'm not walking back anything that they've said. He said, "I'm Chicago Ray," and by the way, he is Chicago Ray 1 at I'm sorry, yeah, Chicago One Ray. I'm sorry, on Twitter if you want to follow him personally. But he says, I'm not going to let, I'm not going to let them or anyone say that I'm the leader or a figurehead. I said, "Bro, I'm not. Everyone has their own decisions to make, and I'm not telling anyone what to do or not to do, period." So he's making it clear that he's just coming out there. Look, this is what he's hearing, right? And it seems like a lot of people. So he's wondering, and he even says in his video once or twice, he's like, "I don't know what's going on the West Coast." He's like, "I just know everything I'm hearing here is that people are looking to boycott." He says, "Folks, he said, I even declined to go on with Tucker," right? So this guy's not looking for fame and fortune, right? He's not looking for his 15 minutes, man. He just made a video to let the populace know, look, here's what might be coming. And frankly, if it is coming and it is serious, like, it doesn't have, I mean, I don't think it's going to end in complete, like New York just starves to death, right? It could if they wanted it to. Let's be real. It'd be American. It wouldn't end in starving to death, but there would be, they'd have to use like National Guard or something to try and start trucking supplies into New York if every owner operator decided they just weren't going to do it. For folks that don't understand, there are many of these truckers do work for larger companies. Many of them are independent owner operators, and they decide what loads they take and what loads they don't. So it's not something that's, but and oh, there we go. Raymond over on Facebook says New York went criminal on law-abiding Americans. Yeah, there's a lot on the left, right, that went criminal on law-abiding Americans, I think. And it's just, we gotta we just gotta be conscious of it, right? We gotta be conscious of what's going on around us. They have a gripe. We all have a gripe. What happened to Trump was ridiculous. And for those that don't, and I realized when I was looking at a lot of this stuff that a lot of people still don't understand what exactly is going down with Trump and what the issue was there and what the actual court case was about. We all know 355 million. There's a GoFundMe set up. I'm going to get into that more tomorrow. But as far as like what actually was he accused of here, right? And what it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. You have to be mind warped in order to support this. And I say that, look, if they were doing this to Chuck Schumer, right, I would still have an immense problem with this. Like, there's nothing okay about this, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you're still living in La La Land and you think that it's all that there are these Republicans and Democrats, and one doesn't like the other, and like if you're still in that world, I don't know what to do for you. But the reality of the matter is, even if you're in that world, like even if you think these aren't two wings of the same bird, and it's not like you haven't gotten to that point yet, you still need to understand that it is not okay to weaponize the government against a political candidate. And I ain't even saying Biden's doing it, because Biden can't, but Biden's in a room somewhere, playing with himself, eating ice cream. I don't know what Biden's doing, but he ain't running a country. The people that are, though, those people, okay, are the ones who this is trickling down from. And the smug look and laugh on that judge's face when he made this ridiculous decision. But let me get to what it was. So they're accusing Trump in the midst of trying to get a loan, okay, that he inflated the property value of his assets. All right, this they're considering to be fraud. Now, the banks were like all of this happened, and the banks were paid back. Nothing was late. Everything was good. It all happened and was done when they brought this case up. All right. So when you keep hearing people say victimless crime, it's not even a crime. And this is what's scaring the living dickens out of other investors and such in New York, because now there's a precedent set. Now there's a precedent set. And this is where it gets creepy, folks. Okay? This is where it gets creepy. Because once that precedent gets set, okay? Once it gets set, there's no freaking turning back. You can't just, every single investor dealing with property, really with any type of property or anything of value, now has to worry about traditional tactics used in negotiation being, holding them up for criminal or civil cases. I mean, the idea that someone wants to buy my house, or if I want to take a loan to buy a house, and I'm putting my house as equity on, and I turn around and say my house is worth $2 million, or whatever. I say my house is worth $1 million and it's worth $500,000. That's not illegal. The banks, they're acting as if the banks just take everyone's word for it. They're acting as if banks just say, oh, well, oh, if that's what you say it's worth, well, here you go, sir. Here's all the money. I mean, it's just not how it works. And to go back and hit him with 350, like even if there was something here, even if there was a little meat in the nothing burger, it was just a where's the beef case, which it's not. It's a nothing burger. But like the crippling, look, I can't imagine. I mean, that guy from Shark Tank was kind of making a statement like, I don't care what this lady says, because they came out, I believe the DA and the governor came out and said, this won't, other businesses, don't worry, you're not like Trump. Okay, that's an admission. That's an admission that, you know what? You're not like Trump, meaning you're not in the doghouse. We're not angry at you for any reason. Therefore, we're not going to weaponize the government against you. And when anyone hears that, they're like, oh, hell no. I want no part of this. And anybody that can get out of there will. And that will be the major investors, okay? That will be the larger investors, because they can go wherever they want, right? The smaller people, they've got there's a little more hustle and bustle for them to go learn a new area and this and that. But the large ones with large investment in property and things like that, they're not touching this. No one wants to touch New York City right now. No one and really New York State. No one wants to touch it. And it doesn't matter if the money gets turned, if he doesn't have to pay in the end or however that plays out. That doesn't even matter. At this point, it's not even relevant. What's relevant right now is just the fact that freaking Trump should not be he should not be even looking at paying 355. It's so blatant and so in the face. So the truckers once again, and ever since that first Canadian trucker movement, right? I mean, like it kind of caught on with our truckers here in the States. Like, we do wield a lot of power. And they do wield a lot of power. I could tell you, as he was saying in the video, like, so he said, he talked one day, one part of the video, he's like, I heard from a guy who just turned down a refrigerator load, which is apparently a lot of money. And then in his next video, he was like, well, I got word from the broker that was offering that load, or from the company who was taking bids for that load, that he got rid of the load. He increased it by 30% the payout, and he found someone right away to take it. But that's still a major problem. Like, the fact that they found someone else to take it at a 30% increase. Let's keep in mind, folks, not all truckers are on Twitter and whatnot. It takes a while for the word to get around the community. This thing just popped off. There was just a bunch of people organically talking about it over CBs, and now, it's a thing. And it's like, I mean, I'm watching to see how this pans out. I think it will be incredibly interesting to see how this pans out, right? Because I think in the end, no matter how it pans out, I think, it's going to make a statement, and it's going to hurt. Like, even if the situation is that they have to just keep increasing, the bids on loads to New York City, like, and then as you go on, you get more and more people who are like, I don't need to take that. I'll take this. I'll, whatever. I'll take these other loads. I don't need, like, the more and more this becomes a thing. And I feel like that's what it is. It's the kind of thing, it's either going to build up slowly as word gets around, or it's just going to be, because it's one of those situations where independent operators, they'll find loads. It's not like if it weren't for New York, they'd have no load. So, in the end, it's really just a choice. Do I want to go there or do I not? And I can only imagine, as a trucker, having grown up in New York, I can only imagine what it's like to bring a big rig through there. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that. That's like next level. But like, so aside from just the economics of it, right? Aside from that, I feel like it's a situation where it's still not optimal. For, like, even without all this drama, like, I could see people already just saying, I don't want to deal with New York. And there's probably already a premium, if there's any truckers that are on, hit it up in the comments on any of the platforms. I definitely want to know, do they pay more already to go to New York? And if they do, is that one of the reasons that everything is so damn expensive there? And if they do, what's a 30% increase on that going to be? Or what if it goes to 40%, right? Like, what if you found 2 or 3 guys who will grab that load for the 30%, but now you got 2 more loads and you got nobody to take? Like, eventually the thing's going to escalate. And you say, well, why would you want to punish the good people of New York, over this issue? And I think, look, I don't know how many New Yorkers are left, that had the old mentality, right? But, there was a mentality at one time in New York where they too would have been like, F this. Like, we'll figure it out, F this, right? And like, so I don't know how many of those folks are left. I don't know how many have been replaced, with, the new doot-to-doos that are out there. But I do know, that in the end, it's one of those things where one way or the other, New York's going to feel something. They're going to feel something. I mean, that's the only thing I can really say, right? A Daily News over on YouTube, toll roads is a killer. Imagine just to travel around. Yeah, no, it's bad. The toll roads are wild. I mean, I go mostly Jersey now, right? but I do go into New York when I do go down. My family all lives in Jersey, and you know I mean, the George Washington Bridge is like I forget how much it was now, but it was like now they charge you one way on that bridge, so it's like covering both tolls, but it's like $30. It's like crazy. It's like nuts. I don't know what the Triborough's at now or the Throgs Neck, but I mean it's wild. And now the governor is talking about adding more for commuter town, whatever that thing is she's got going on. I don't know. And Daily News separate comments said in New York. Yeah, I got you. I know you're talking about in New York. And I know what it's like. Even Jersey is not much better. I mean, this Garden State and the Turnpike have gotten ridiculous too. I remember where it was 35 cents per toll on the Parkway. It's, let's just say it ain't 35 cents anymore. So, you know, pretty crazy stuff. But hold on one second, folks. I'm just trying to not seeing the chat work. Bugging out on that. I like to see it on the screen, but I'm getting it here, so I can still pop you guys, highlight you guys. All platforms can be highlighted, so feel free to pop off. I'll bring it up if you got a question or anything like that. For those that are not familiar with the channel, anytime someone has an Article 5 Convention of States question, I absolutely stop everything I'm doing there. So, but here it says, I live in the best part of New York called Caliph. I don't know Caliph. Toll roads are popping up. Oh, is that right? Is that right? Yeah, I mean, look, I'm just as good to not. I mean, I just took my son there. It actually, and to be honest, it wasn't. Again, this is a 2-day sample, 3-day sample, but I mean, I took him to go see Wicked. We went to Broadway, did a few things, and you know, and it wasn't that bad. Now that being said, my brother was texting me like, do you see all the craziness?" And I was like, "Huh?" That was mostly in Midtown. We did a little bit of downtown, but like as far as maybe St. Patrick's Cathedral, and then I was done. But apparently, further downtown, there was some protests going on and the Palestinian thing or whatever. Maybe that would have changed my opinion. I don't know, but I mean, for the trip that I did, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. So. Oh, you're saying California, not Caliph. Okay, I got you. The abbreviation. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, I didn't know the part of New York called California. Is that an actual thing, or are you just cracking a joke? Because I don't know. If it's the best part, I don't know why they'd call it California, because I could tell you out here. I honestly think I live in the best part of California. I'm inland, away from LA, pretty conservative here. Young families looking out for each other, you know, no nonsense here. So as far as that's concerned, I think it's, you know, I'm in a good spot as it goes. I still have to pay the absurd amount of money to exist. That has not changed. That has not changed. The People's Republic of California, like voting is like to vote here is all kind of, it's kind of, you do it because you want to do your duty, but you definitely walk out of the voting booth feeling like the whole thing is rigged. That's what you feel like when you walk out. I did when I voted for Newsom's recall. It was a joke. I walked into my city hall, small city though. Cities here, if you're in New York, cities here would be analogous to like a town there or a borough there. Not even a borough, like Brooklyn's here. So, but I went into the city hall with 2 ballots, one for me, one my wife, because why not? They mail them to you. They mail them to everybody. So I went in with 2 ballots. I asked where to drop them. They didn't care. They didn't want to look at them. They didn't want anything. They asked me if they're both signed. I said, yeah, drop them. I could have had 10 on me. Dropped them. No one would have cared. They would have counted them up. All Democrat-run cities, Raymond over on Facebook. All Democrat-run cities have made American citizens second-class citizens in America. Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. And you know what? You're right that they're all Democrat-run cities, but like, I'll be honest with you, man. Republicans these days, let's just say they're less than impressive, right? They're less than impressive. That's all I can say. But these truckers, man, like I'm really. This is why I jumped on today, and I realized, it may not pull as big an audience today, because it's not. Because it's not, it's not normal. I'm not normally on Tuesday, but that being said, I just felt like I needed to come on just to get it out there because it did bother me. It bothered me, and I wanted to make sure that that I came out, talked about it. I didn't want to wait till tomorrow. I got more stuff to talk about tomorrow. This is the kind of thing, though, that over time, this may not be the last video that I do, or this may not be the last live broadcast that I do on this topic, right? Because this topic is no joke. Like, it's no joke. So let me just see if, just checking to see if Twitter is popping off. Yes, it is. I'm getting X. Okay. So yeah, so and X, I'm asking everyone to follow on X just because when it comes to X, I just started literally a couple months ago, 2.5 months ago or so, maybe 3 now. I haven't counted, but I know that it's a slow process. Like I can't just get 18,000 folks from Facebook just up and move. So I'm trying to just get people now, and we got it up to 100 or so right now. And this is kind of how it works but I've been through this already. You get to your first 100, things start to move a little bit better. After you get to 100, you get to 200, things start moving a little quick, and it kind of snowballs. And you really just, unless you do something viral, you really just got to wait it out. But I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying the content and that, and that you're open to hooking me up there. I just had a big debate last time on here about doing the whole follow for follow thing. I guess it's a part of Twitter culture that I'm not overly familiar with. So I'm kind of new on the Twitter platform, never really used it personally. But now that Musk is there, and I know I'm shut with 18,000 followers on Facebook, I know that it means, that I'll get 75 maybe impressions when they launch, when I launch a video or when I do a live event, right? Like I've had times where YouTube, I don't get any. YouTube's just, I don't even know why I don't know why I still even broadcast to you. And if someone's on watching from YouTube and you're enjoying the content in general, or you go through my video showcase and enjoy some of the content, come follow me on X, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be broadcasting to YouTube. I really believe it's a waste of my time. They literally don't put it in front of anyone. I stopped caring around 1,400 subscribers, and it hasn't moved. The needle hasn't moved since. One guy adds, one guy drops, one guy adds. I loathe YouTube. I've been suspended there 8 times in a row. Well, not. Of course they were in a row, but 8 times, different times, I've been suspended for various nonsense reasons. You never know why. But back to these truckers, like, what do you guys think? Like 30%, 40%, 50%? How much, because the trucker was mentioning, he says, you know what? He's like, now that guy got 30% more for a load to New York, like a standard has been set, right? That's basically what they're saying, is a standard has been set. And as long as the standard has been set, that guy now is going to expect 30% more for a load to New York. And it would not shock me if that guy came back and said, you know what? I don't want the load to New York. Maybe gave one up to someone else because now they got to up it to 40%, right? Because the dispatchers and stuff, they go out to these, if I understand it correctly, and it may be a trucker trying to beat me up for this one verbally, not real life. But because I was listening to one trucker explain it, and if I got it right, I hope I don't butcher this. Basically, there are brokers who negotiate with the dispatchers, what the price is going to be, what they need hauled, what their client is willing to pay, etc. And that's that. And then in accordance, they'll work it out with owner operators or companies as to who wants to take that haul. So that's the key here, is that, like, now people were saying they didn't want it. It must have been, he said it was gone in 5 minutes. I can't imagine in 5 minutes. I think he was a figure of speech, because why would you up the price 30% right away like that? Like, just out of nowhere, right? Like, that's a chunk of change. Like, I would think that it would be, that it must have been other people saying, no, I don't want to take it, and maybe heard it a few times and then was like, all right, 30% more. Now who wants it, right? And that's kind of, now capitalism is taken, right? You don't need a union when you got that kind of power. So they turn around and say 30%. Now someone jumps in and takes it. What happens if nobody takes it until 40%? Right? Because now there's a game that's getting started here, and it's going to, it's going to impact. I can't imagine it doesn't impact. I mean, even if only 20% or 25% of truckers who normally take, I heard Glenn Beck ask people to call in today, and he got one call after. I mean, the lines were lit up. Like, they were just truckers everywhere, ready to call in and say that they're not going to take shipments to New York. Now, again, they make the argument, well, don't make the people suffer and this and that. But really, it's political power, right? It really is. Because there's no way, like, there's nothing for the populace to do when we see them weaponize government. If they could do this against a former president, can you imagine how easily they could just crush you if you get on their bad side for some reason? And I don't mean break a law. I mean you just get on their bad side, on the bad side of their politics. Because they can, if they'll do it to him, they'll do it to you. And this is something that I think it can't be stated enough. And this is why it's important. And frankly, if all hell rains down because shipping it becomes an issue to New York, there won't be any denying who caused this. Right? There won't be any denying who caused this. And the fact of the matter is, it'll be a bold statement from the American people regarding flexing their muscle. Just like Article 5 is a muscle flex, right? That's what it is. It's the same concept, right? It's like the truckers have this power and they're choosing to use it to make a statement. And it's not about, they're not going outside of their powers. They're just simply making decisions that they believe, they don't want. If they're saying if the people of New York are okay with this, and I don't believe they are. Okay, I don't. Maybe in the posh, Upper West Side and things like that, but not New Yorkers, not in the 5 boroughs. They're not okay with it. And the fact of the matter is, the truckers are saying, I don't want to do business with places like that. I don't want to do business in a place where they weaponize government. It's just not a good thing. Not to mention, it's not an easy place to go in the first place. So, more power to him is kind of my statement. I mean, we'll see how this thing plays out. It sounds like there are some, and even that trucker, now I'm forgetting his name. Chicago Ray, right? Chicago Ray, like, even he was saying, like, I don't hold it against that trucker for taking that job for 30%. He's not looking at him like, like you turned on your country or you're some kind of traitor, right? Because he knows, it's like, you don't know what everybody's situation is. That man might need that 30% lift, right? That may make a huge difference in his family. And you can't, not everybody could just stop making money, right? Maybe the guy lives in New York and he was out there and he needs this load to get home, right? Like, nobody knows the guy's story, right? But in the end, these are all folks making a living. And, those who can decide to do it, who can afford to do it and whatnot, I hope they do. I'm actually looking at this from afar as really to see what an impact there would be, right? I mean, they did this in Colorado and it didn't end well for Colorado, right? And we know, right? We know logistically what it could be, but what is it? What does it become in reality? And I think that's what I wanted to hear, right, from people is just, and I realize that the audience is not huge now, although I would like to know from anybody watching now, whether it be on Rumble, Twitch, Twitter, or Facebook or YouTube, where you're watching from. I know normally I get a lot of East Coast, I get some international, et cetera, but I am curious with respect to I get a lot of Canada too, so I'm curious to know the Canadian perspective on this as well. I do want to throw in a shameless plug, folks. So I did add 2 new T-shirts. So just so you know, these T-shirts that I wear on the broadcast, they are available. I do have an Etsy store for these T-shirts. You can get to the store by going to www.thepatriotthinktank.com. But I put two new ones on the block today. They're both Article 5 related. One is focused on solutions. The second is my favorite. It's the founders have my 6 by giving me Article 5. And the barcode is actually a link to sign the petition, which is also pretty cool. So I'm getting kind of high tech here. Right? Imagine getting kind of high tech. But anyway. So Warren Owen, how are you, sir? So watching on X, but it was glitchy. Ah, boo. I don't know what's going on X, man. I'm hoping to get everything over there. So I mean, I had it. Let me see. I got the stream running too. I don't know. It looks good for me, but frankly, I have a 1 gigabit connection, so that's not really telling the tale. But I mean, it looks like it's going okay there. Now you got me wanting to check everywhere. Rumble looks pretty solid. Let me see. Oh, Rumble. Right? And YouTube still looking good. Actually, YouTube's looking good and Facebook. So yeah, I don't know, Warren. I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe you need a better cell plan, brother. Maybe. See. What we got here, Article 2 of the United States Constitution. So this is Raymond over at Facebook. Article 2 of the United States Constitution says the President of the United States' job is to execute and enforce the laws made by Congress. Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny is that, when you look at the border situation, everybody trying to spin this border bill that they were trying to write, I'm like what part? This is where civics matters, folks. And it really bothers me that people don't understand basic civics. It does. It bothers me. And the reason it bothers me is because they would know that there is no bill necessary. Congress just completely wasted their time. And frankly, and they didn't waste their time based on their goals, right? It's all a matter of perspective. Their goals was to get all the junk on the backside of the bill through. But there was no need for Congress to do anything. Absolutely nothing. The laws are already on the books. Commander-in-Chief is sworn to enact those laws, and he has not done so. He made a conscious decision to not do so. So on that front, there's really there's no bill necessary. And everyone who watches this knows how the civics thing drives me freaking insane. Like right there with the save our democracy. I just can't with these. Can't. But thank you, Raymond. Good comment. For sure. Warren, I'm going to try and work, man, and get you, maybe we get you a direct stream. Get it straight to you. But if Facebook's working better, maybe it's not your phone. Maybe it's just something with the app. Yeah, that goes. You got me all self-conscious. You know what? I just went back to that webpage and it was spinning for a second. So I'm not sure. Elon, you know what? Let me call Elon. Hold on. I'll bring him into the show and we'll yeah, that'll get the viewers. Let me bring in Elon, have him walk in here. Take a look. But yeah, so look, let's see, let's see what we got with these truckers. I'll keep an eye on the comment section on all of them. After the fact, I get notifications to my phone. Usually, I don't get overwhelmed with comments to that level. But if you do want to let me know where you're watching from and where and what you think about the trucker situation, are you for it, against it? Do you is it something you think is going to work? Do you think it's going to have the impact that they're hoping for, or do you think it's just something that a few people are doing? And I mean, it sounds to me like it's a lot more than a few people. But with these truckers, they talk, man. They don't need the internet, right? Everybody in the vicinity is connected, and so when Chicago Ray says, I just got done talking about 10 different people. Like he's been talking about right there, right? like he probably got off with them and then went ahead and made his video. But and that's just him, right? But then there's other videos out there of truckers saying F this, and we'll see, right? We'll see. I think there's like 250,000 or so, maybe more than that, just on the East Coast. Truckers that are independent operators. So it's a lot of people. And if they start getting pissed off, I mean, you know, and I'm a little worried, to be honest, because here in the People's Republic of California, it won't be long before Newsom does something to piss them off. And I don't have a stockpile. Maybe I got to go get one of those. I got to get one of those kits, right, with the 3 month supply, right, of food and all that, lasts for 20 years or whatever. I was gonna buy one for West Virginia, but I haven't. But I haven't done it yet. So Cody Regal over in Facebook. How are you, Cody? Good to see you on. People have had enough of this rogue government. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny, it's not even the U.S., right? It's everywhere. Freaking everywhere. And to be real, we're getting it a lot less than the rest of the world. Like, let's just like, as much as the assault has been in full bloom on our Constitution, and this is another reason to correct people when they say, save our democracy. We live in a democracy. Correct them and let them know it's a constitutional republic, because that's the only thing, literally right now, that's the only thing that's stopping us from having to deal with all this madness. If it wasn't for that, okay, if the Constitution did not reign supreme and it was elected officials that reigned supreme, as in a democracy, there would be hate speech laws. There, like, you think just shadow banning me on Facebook and Rumble doesn't do it, but Facebook and YouTube, like, come on, that's like peanuts. That's peanuts. It may take me a year or 2 years, to get a following the way that I have on Facebook now, even though Facebook, seriously controls it, and they don't let, they don't distribute, and they even added it formally into their policy now. So it's like they ain't even hiding it. They're just telling people, like, look, if your content's not on government message, no one's going to see that. But at least to their credit, people can still come to the page and see the content. Whereas YouTube, they strip it down, ban you for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, if they don't throw your whole channel out together. Like, F them at YouTube. I'm so over it. So I don't even know why. Like I said, I don't even know why I still stream there. I never get, if I get 4 viewers concurrently, on YouTube, and those 4 people, 3 of them automatically know that I'm on Wednesday nights at 5:30, so they come on, to YouTube to watch. But other than that, out of 1,400 people, by accident, you would get 6 or 7. By accident, just 6 or 7 people going, I don't remember subscribing to this. you'd still get probably 10 or so. But it's like 1, 2. I'm over them, over those guys. All that, they don't show it to anybody, and then they want to ban you for some weird crap you don't even know what you did. It's just YouTube is dead to serious information. Like, they still have the Dan Bonginos and the Russell Brands, but even they have gone off to other channels, right? They have such a following there that they can monetize a 15-minute video and then stop it and be like, come check me out for the real meat on Rumble, right? I don't have that kind of following. I ain't on that level. And then again, I'm the only one outside of Convention of States Project who's really beating this drum of Article 5 every single time I come on the air, because that's the mission that I've made, right? That's the solution. And I'm trying to turn the same light on that went on for me for everybody else. Because once you realize how powerful Article 5 is, and how powerful the states are, and how powerful you are through your local legislators, through the guy that lives in your neighborhood, how powerful you are, once that realization sinks in, and you've read it from the founders, and you understand it, and you've really just, put it all together as to how freaking wild that power is. The lights, it's just like turning them on, man. It's just like turning them on. Just like turning them on. It's like, holy smokes, dude, this is it. This is it. Like, if you're still in mode where you're thinking Donald Trump is going to save us, Donald Trump is going to secure the border and deal with some foreign affairs, keep us out of wars, that sort of stuff. He's not going to save the country, though, because the wars are not what the country is afraid of, right? They suck, and I hate the fact that we continue to play this money laundering game in Ukraine, and that the second Trump leaves office, we're back at war again. It's so obvious once you open your eyes, it drives you nuts. But anyway, that's not going to save the country. That's not going to stop. Even when Trump was in, the debt was continuing. And this is where inflation, eventually it's going to fall apart. Eventually it's going to go off the rails. And once it does, there's no president that's going to, the presidents in general do not have the authority to do the things that Article 5 could do, the things that we, the people, can do directly. They just don't have that authority, nor does Congress, nor does the court. They simply don't have the authority, right? In order to impose term limits, in order to impose fiscal restraints, in order to impose amendments against government overreach, in order to impose these amendments that restrict the power of the federal government, that's the only thing they listen to. And again, it takes us back to this constitutional republic. The fact that we're a constitutional republic has been the greatest thorn in Marxists' side since Karl Marx. The fact that we are a constitutional republic is so important that they've spent 70 years trying to convince us that we live in a democracy. So much so that they actually have President Trump saying, I'm here to save our democracy. It's become so embedded in our culture that we just roll with it now. I mean, tell me about it, right? I'm Gen X, and I'll speak to my fellow Gen Xers and even Boomers. How often, prior to the last 4 or 5 years, or really 3 years in particular, right? 2020 really shook a lot of people in the way that they think. But how all throughout your life was it perfectly okay to call the United States of America democracy? And the reason that was so, and the reason that there are so many people who walk around doing it now is because that's what that's what everywhere they turn, right? Everywhere they turn. They watch a television show, they watch a politician, they look at the president, they look at their governor, they see the news. They talk to their friends. Every single place that they go, they're hearing it referred to as a democracy. That's not an accident. We haven't had civics in the classroom for 60 some odd years. It's just nuts. At least 55. I don't know exactly the date that they pulled it out. I know early 70s it was already gone. So, whatever the day is, they pulled it out. The point is, social studies is no different than critical race theory and everything else. Yes, critical race theory is a lot wilder, but the goal of switching that in is exactly the same. It was to make sure that we do not understand the key tenets that make our government special, the key tenets that make us the shining city on a hill, the key tenets that make us different, make us the only free nation in this world, the only truly free nation in this world whose rights come from God. We are the only one. There's no close, there's no second place, there's none of it. And the founders who wrote these documents and started this amazing experiment and that has thrived, even with the pollution, even with the political corruption and everything else from deep state on. The nation is still thriving to the point where we can put an end to this stuff. All right, term limits, so at least term limits the way they're explained in the 19 resolutions that have already passed and in all the resolutions that we have coming. And those term limits are for not just for congressmen. Those term limits are for all government officials. Interns, the creepy guy in not the CIA director. Yeah, him too, but he's not the important one, right? The important one is the one right below him, who doesn't get appointed by the president, right? He doesn't get swapped out every few years, right? Guy's second in charge at DOJ. Second in charge, right? Homeland Security, second in charge. NSA, second in charge. Those are the guys that when the director walks in, walk him around and tell him how he's going to do his job. They're gone too. Like the amount of rooting out, right? I mean, everything from motivations for war to aliens to who the hell knows. Whatever the hell's going on in those bureaus. Now, I understand that there are some legitimate national security issues to be held on to. However, this notion that absolutely everything is top secret and classified and everything is a threat to the United States is nonsense. It's just nonsense. And that's just real talk. It's just nonsense. We all know it. We all know, we always knew it. Nobody's shocked about it. There's nothing about it that makes you go, ooh, wow, what, maybe we shouldn't do this. No, we all know the creepy crap. I mean, how long, look at Kennedy, right? How long, everyone knew that Lee Harvey Oswald, at best, was a pawn in that game. Like they don't even try to hide it with Ruby killing him right after he kills the president, and then they kill Ruby. Like it's like you couldn't write a. I mean, you would write a script like that, wouldn't you? You'd write a script like that. I mean, that's how it goes, right? So we've seen this happening forever, and the bottom line is the federal government does not need. We don't need new elected officials. I mean, we do right now, but that's not. New elected officials are not going to solve the problems that are core to the structural damage of the federal government. Because these people get elected in, and that's it. They turn doo-doo as soon as they get in there because the machine just eats them. It just eats them. These people go in, many of them, with a good heart and with good intentions, and they want to, they want to make change and they want to do this and that. But then, they get in there and, well, we don't really know. We don't really know. The story of how this Convention of States movement got founded, and there's a few stories to it, but one of them, at least from Mark Meckler's perspective, as I've heard him tell it, was that he was the founder of the Tea Party movement and was all excited and I thought that movement was brilliant, by the way. I mean, the idea to come into primaries in mass and remove the rhinos, right, and replace them with good people. But what was learned was that even though those were good people, I mean, going in, they were good people. But then it was a matter of months before as he was saying, he didn't even recognize them anymore. And when you see that, you get shook, right? Because when they get in there, they're clueless. Well, you know what though? Everybody's clueless when they first come in, right? But like, what's going on with these people is they get in there, and it's this inner culture of the federal government, and this is a huge piece of what's broken. Is that here you are, right? You're tired. Let's say you live in Kansas, and you finally decided to start using your brain, or Kentucky. I'm sorry, is Kentucky? Yeah, is Mitch McConnell, right? It's Kentucky, I think so. But finally start to use your brain. And you realize that you've been putting this doo-doo into office for so many years that he can't even speak anymore. And so, so you go ahead and you find this young, fresh ideas, true conservative, right? Holds all your values, wants border security, wants all the things that you want, and you're excited. You've met him personally. You've had dinner with the guy, and he's just that in touch with everybody. And you've been to his rally. The dude's amazing, right? So you vote him in, sweeps up the state, whole state votes him in. Dude's ready to go, heads out to Washington. He gets there, and he's told, look, you're a freshman. Like it's effing high school. You're a freshman. So you really can't do anything. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? They didn't vote that person in so that he could bow to other senators because they've been there longer. But that's how it works. That's how the little club works. And then if that person really wants to get through the legislation that you voted him in to get in, well, he can't unless he turns around and starts, starts the game, right? He's got to get his fake money, right? They got to print him some money, and he gets to play Monopoly with everybody else. But he'll never buy Boardwalk. No, not till he's there for like 35, 40 years. Your state will never get represented properly, not for at least he'll come up, if he's a House rep, he'll come up 2 or 3 times before it's even considered to give him any respect. And by that time, he's a completely different human being. By that time, the person that you got all excited about and were fired up about, and like, that person's gone. And the one who wants to stay and fight, there's a handful of them. They're out there. Rand Paul has always been on the side of righteousness, right? There's some of them out there, Jim Jordan and whatever. Although even Jordan, though, like, as much as I love the guy and I think that he's genuine, but like at the same time, like, standing behind McCarthy, what are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, and that's my problem. Is these people, even the good ones, I sometimes have a hard time. I have a hard time understanding what's not negotiable for them. Like what principle cannot be compromised away? Because while compromise may be necessary, if you don't have a core conviction, if you don't have, like, you're not elected on what you're going to compromise. These, like, no one but talking heads and politicians will make the statement the people want compromise. The people always want compromise. You don't get elected to go compromise. You get elected to go in and stand by your core convictions. Because when your hour speech that you gave, the only part people were listening to were the parts that you're saying are unwavering. That's the parts that people are listening to. Because it makes no sense to vote for someone for the sake of compromise. Because you don't even know what you're voting for. What does that mean, compromise? So he's willing to compromise everything, which means he stands for nothing, which means every single thing that I like about him could easily go right under the table as soon as they start making deals. As soon as the wheels start turning and you get your congressional education and you get off the school bus, and now they sent you to school, you come off the school bus, and now you got those spinny things in your eyes, and you're just freaking doing whatever they tell you. And your next move is to move yourself into a position of more power so that you can get that original thing you wanted to get done. But it's still not getting done. So now you got to move and negotiate yourself into more power. So, like, that's not how the Republic is supposed to work. They invented that crap. They invented that. There are no Republicans and Democrats. Don't get it twisted, folks. It's not a cliche. There are not. Yes, you'll get people like Trump or like Rand Paul who run on a Republican ticket because it's a two-party system, but they are not Republicans. Like, Rand Paul has never been a Republican. Never in his life. But if he wants to actually try and make a difference, he's going to run as one, because running with the Libertarian Party, they don't even know what they believe in. I think we all think that we're libertarian, and then all of a sudden you start getting into these details, and it's like all of a sudden nobody agrees on anything. That's the only reason I don't call myself a libertarian, because I don't know where it ends and where it begins. Like, the simplistic definition is never correct. It's never just, well, we want minimal government and like that's, yeah, we all want that. It's when it starts getting into issues of the day that they start diverging and everybody's got a different opinion, and I don't know what the hell they stand for. Most of what they stand for is the same as what I stand for. I just don't, there are times where they go off the rails and I can't follow. Same thing goes with Republicans. I would never call myself a Republican, ever. Like, to me, it's a dirty word. It's a dirty word. So is Democrat. It's a dirty word. It's so far away from what Abraham Lincoln was all about. And I don't mean the switch, this so-called fake switch in the freaking civil rights movement. There was no switch. On that end, Republicans remained on message. It wasn't until deep state and all this corruption crap started. It had nothing to do with civil rights. When the deep state corruption crap started, both sides just melded into this freaking uniparty, still pretending for the voter as if you're making a difference. And then when you do get someone in, when the voter does get pissed off, that puts a candidate in that starts to make a difference, i.e. Kennedy, i.e. Reagan, they take a bullet. That's what happens. And the next one knows. All right, we're going to, which may, be interesting to see. When it was time, Trump is the one who didn't release the Kennedy files. Let's not forget this. It was legislated by law that they had to be released, all of them, in 2017, unless there was only one stipulation: unless the president of the United States deems it not be so for national security issues. And Trump did just that. So, what do you think that conversation was like between him and Pompeo while they were discussing whether or not they should release them? I'm pretty sure there was a lot not said and a lot inferred in that conversation. That would be my take. Daily over on YouTube. Daily on YouTube. Make sure you hit me up on Twitter, because, like I said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be. Like, there's going to come a day where I just stop. There could come a day where I just get kicked off it, and I'll just disappear. They don't let me communicate with anybody. I have a backup plan, and that backup plan is X. All right, so if he was in good health, Rick Perry, I think, would be a good choice. I don't know, Daly. You know what? I kind of looked at Rick Perry as being, I don't know. Look, I didn't live in Texas, so I'm not going to, what I understood of Perry, I thought he was a good guy, but at the same time, I feel like he's one of those people that machine would just eat. Like the only people, like, there are certain people, really only two right now, that I believe could go in and not get completely eaten alive by the machine. And one of them is already running for president, and the other one just dropped out. So if we're in a good position, we'll get one for 4 years and then get the other for 8. And that's obviously Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. These are the two people that I absolutely believe can make their way through this. And I think DeSantis' advantage is being able to watch what happens to Trump, right? So Trump's disadvantage was he had no idea what he was walking into. He had no idea. So even though he had conviction, he didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming at all. And so, I mean, it is what it is. Perry would be another Romney. Yeah, I kind of, look, I don't want to bash Perry, but I kind of got that feel. And then here, own eyes. So Warren says, communists believe if they keep telling a lie, yeah, enough times it becomes the truth. Well, there's actually a psychological theory on that. Where it's not a theory; it actually has been tested and proven. I guess it's still technically a theory. I forget but it says just that. It says just that is that if you just keep exposing people to something, eventually it's going to become fact. So you're spot on, and I'll say, and will say anything to get what they want. Yep. I don't trust my politicians, not when you live in Canada. Yeah, you know what? I hear you. Look, Canada's worse off because you're not a constitutional republic. I don't mean to sting with that. I hope that doesn't sting. I mean, I feel that about everybody, about every nation, because I think it's that important. I think it's that important that like, people underplay the constitutional republic piece so much, but like, not every judge is corrupt, right? There are good ones out there, and the second you get to one, the Constitution is your shield, right? And in Canada, there are mechanisms in Canada to help with that, but ultimately, they're not held to that standard the way, like your rights come from God. They can't mess with them at all, right? And I think that's really where the key comes in. But like, it's UK, man. I mean, hate speech laws, and like, they can't get a hate speech law passed in the United States. They simply can't get it done. There's no way to get that done. And the reality of the matter is there never will be a way to get that done. Like I will always be allowed to stream somewhere. I will always be allowed. Like YouTube could ban me as many times as they want, but and they can get the finger from me right back. But in the end, it doesn't matter. There'll always be a Rumble. There'll always be an X. There'll always be somewhere where you can go where it's not, where they just have zero Fs to give, or their entire business model is designed to have zero Fs to give, right? Because that's really what made Rumble Rumble. Let's face it. Rumble exists right now because YouTube allowed itself to fall prey to government. I don't know that YouTube wasn't always designed to fall prey to government. At least not since the new, since they had that structure shift, right? Where they got rid of, I don't know if you guys know this. Does someone impress me and leave in the comments what Google's motto used to be? They used to have a motto. I'll give it a minute and then I'm going to go ahead and break it out. But tell me what Google's motto used to be. The one that they got rid of when they did their restructuring. And it tells you everything that you need to know about Google. Tells you everything you need to know about Google. We'll do this and then I'll cover the Google motto. So one way of getting your cherry popped as a host is if YouTube kicks you off. That's how. No, yeah, no doubt. No, I used to say that too, right? I used to say, like, if you're trying to do serious, and if you're trying to do a serious channel on any type of serious topic, you have not been thrown off YouTube, and you're giving your opinion, and you have not been thrown off YouTube, then you're vanilla. You're vanilla. That's for sure. I appreciate that though, Daily. That's 100%. So Google's motto was "Don't be evil." You can't make that up. Their motto was "Don't be evil," and they got rid of it. I didn't even look up what the new motto was. I don't even care. When you have a motto like "Don't be evil" and you change it, there's there's no PR person in the world that would be like, "That's a good idea." And they had that motto because they understood where the company was going, and they understood big data and the power that it was going to wield. And so they had that motto, and then they changed it. And it's like, what in the world? Like how, when I tell people, because a lot of people don't even know that. And when you tell them, you're like, yeah, you know what? It's their motto used to be this, and they're like, get out of here. I'm like, nope, 100% what it is. And they changed. As a matter of fact, let me see what I never even looked up their new one. Do the right thing. Do the right thing is what they changed it to. Now, understand, I say this all the time to you folks, and I mean it. Words matter, right? Words matter. So do the right thing. It just depends on what you believe the right thing. Do as thou wilt, right? Do as thou wilt. And that's, that's amazing that they changed it to that. I don't know why I didn't look that up earlier. Now you got to see me have a revelation right on camera. So they changed their motto from "Do no evil" to basically "Do as thou wilt." Do the right thing as they see it, right? So if you're a psycho Satanist, whatever, then, do the right thing. Changes the perspective a little bit, right? But it is what it is, right? That's what we're up against. But no matter what, no matter how wicked Google is, you could tell just by Elon Musk's natural fear of Google. Not fear of them in a corporate way, but fear of their AI. Fear of them being the ones to control AI. And these are the types of things. This is something, right, that the evil in this world, if they get control of, it could be disastrous. And this is something, of course, that Article 5 can fix. Article 5 can absolutely fix it. We absolutely can restrict the power of the federal government in any way we want with as far as overreach is concerned. And there's no way it doesn't fall under the overreach category to protect people's privacy from AI and to exclude AI from certain points of invading people's privacy, to track us, to do. I mean, we can end this entire business model that they've been pandering around and paying off our politicians to keep in place. We could end this business model in the United States. We can make it a crime. So yeah, China, Russia may try to use espionage, etc., to try and still do it, but it'll be a crime. It'll be a crime, right? And that's when that happens, right? When that happens. Now we can talk. I've got ideas already. I've already wrote down, I don't have it with me right now. I've written down different amendments that I would like to see written for that purpose. But I'm fine with the delegates. Doesn't matter what I write down, because the delegates are the ones, the commissioners would be the ones to work out the language. And then if they do it well, the states will pass it, right? They'll ratify it. They don't do it well, it has no chance, right? But in the end, that's something we need. Single subject amendments can fix a lot, right? On the fiscal side of the house, no more omnibus bills, right? You want to write a bill. You want to study for $200 million the sexual habits of the Japanese quail while on cocaine. You can do that, but you need to pass it in its own cocaine quail bill. You can't put it on the back of a veterans bill and then when someone doesn't want to vote for it, try to go on a microphone and tell everybody this person doesn't want to help veterans. Right? Like, these are things that we can do to fix this. These are things that we can do to fix this. And so, you know what? The bottom line is, right? I'm going to jump off here because I got to jump back on tomorrow night. But I do appreciate, by the way, everybody that jumped on, especially Cody, Daniel, Warren. I can't scroll up anymore. But everybody who commented and everybody who jumped in, because that's what keeps the channel going, right? Don't forget, still got these 2 new shirts that have hit the store. So run out and get yours. Great gift, right? I don't know how to do the plugs, but I got mine on the way. So you'll see him on me soon enough. But have to. All right, folks. So I'll see you tomorrow night. I'll be on 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. So again, don't forget to stop at theconventionestates.com. Go ahead and click the petition button. Click to volunteer. Someone from your state will reach out to you. They'll give someone local to you, right? Like, it's not something you got to go traveling to the Capitol for. Like, somebody local to you in your district will reach out to you, let you know where your state's at, let you know what you could do to help. You can let them know what you can do to help, but we could definitely help. If everybody think about it. If everybody gave some 15 minutes a month, right? Think of how many hours of volunteer work that is. I'm just saying. And the easy thing to do is get yourself educated, right? Get yourself educated and go ahead and get out. And when I say get yourself educated, when you go ahead and sign the petition, they will send a letter to your representative, but they will also call you to ask you, hey, can you be a social media warrior? Can you, maybe you're a good video editor. Maybe you can, whatever. You got great leadership skills. Maybe you could be a district captain. Well, we need a district captain. Whatever it may be in your area. Well, you'll see. You'll do what you can, right, to make that happen. And trust me, get around like-minded people and let's save the country, right? Let's save the country. I'm going to close this out. Love you guys.